Hey, this is Lex, and welcome to another episode of Lipstick and Liberation, a podcast where I, a 41-year-old feminist, talk to you about social issues, the news, and all that's going on in the world from my perspective. I am so grateful that you guys came back to listen to me. I have received so many downloads, and I'm so excited to see that people are really, tuning into the podcast. I know that, I'm one of many out there, so the fact that you are giving me 10, 20 minutes of your day, 30 minutes on your car rides or wherever you're listening means so much to me. Thank you for the support. If you do feel so inclined, please like my Facebook page. Please also leave me a review wherever you're listening to the podcast. You can also write into me. I would love to hear what you guys think. I want to get into it this week right away. As we know, there's just been so much femicide going on, Black femicide especially, and it's been very emotional for me to watch and understand, especially as a person who has survived a domestically violent relationship and dealt with coercive control. I feel so deeply for all the women who experienced this and lost their life, and it's really such an indictment on patriarchy in our society. Earlier this week, there was a young lady, and I don't remember her name, but there was a young lady. She had a white boyfriend, and she ended up in Africa. They said that she hung herself. And, so many people, there were so many Black men on Twitter because I was, in those spaces. And I know there's bots and there's all kind of just ugliness on Twitter anyway. It's not a good barometer of most people because there's so much extremism on there since Elon took over. But they were saying so many bad things about her. This is why you guys shouldn't date out. This is why this is why that. And then right after that, there was this string of Black women being unalived by their Black husbands, like almost like immediately after. And of course, the most famous being Serena Fairfax, who was unalived by her husband, a former lieutenant governor of Virginia, Justin Fairfax. And you saw immediately how they tried to pivot to saying, oh, well, it's a mental health issue. First person being Roland Martin jumping in because that was his fraternity brother. And he wanted to so quickly try to humanize this person who had taken a woman's life. And we have to really look at that. We have to look at what that says about men and what they think about us. For as much as men say, oh, real men don't hurt women, real men don't beat women, real men don't put their hands on women. But then when a real man that they know, somebody they have so many great things about, unalives a woman, then they want to pivot to the great things about him. They don't even want to deal with the fact that this person is, by their own definition, not a real man. They still want to find a way to make him good in some way, shape, or form. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about patriarchy, ladies, then I don't know what else will. Even when a man unalives you, people are still going to try to find the best in him. The best. It doesn't matter that he took your life. That is so scary and that is so sad. And it honestly gives you so much insight into what people think about us, that people don't really see us as full human beings in comparison to men, especially other men. They don't. They look at you as an accessory to a man's life. And so when a man gets rid of you, that's just one piece of his life. You're not a full human being that they have to answer for the loss of. They want to talk about the good things about this guy. It was so sickening watching that. And I'm so glad that Roland Martin got told off because he deserved to get told off. Nobody wants to hear about the great times that you had with your frat brother after we find out that he took somebody's life. Nobody cares. He unalived a parent of his own children. That's the other thing. When people talk about, children, whenever there's divorce or there's a separation and the children need to be split up, there is always like fathers, present fathers. We need present fathers. Look at what these present fathers are doing in the home. Look at that. When are we going to talk about the essence of manhood being a problem? The essence of what manhood is being a problem. The fact that we are raising bad men as in general as a society. Men are in general as a society essaying people, taking advantage of women, mooching off of women. Just if they're not doing that to children, hurting children, being violent, hitting each other, they're the number one unalivers of everybody, including each other. When are we going to start talking about that? Like, it's so frustrating how we have to bend over backwards to see the best in men at all times. And the expense of that is women, and especially Black women. Black women. We are losing our lives. We saw that guy in Shreveport, Louisiana. He unalived all his children, plus another child that was his children's cousins, and he shot 2 women in the face, one of them being his ex, because somebody doesn't want to be with you anymore. That is a reaction that a man has. Do you know how many women had to get help to get out of relationships with men to say, I don't want to be with you anymore? And then some of them, this is what happens to them. You don't want to be with them more. You file for divorce. Serena Fairfax was filed for divorce when Justin unalived her. You decide you don't want any more of a man's cruelty and his dysfunction in your life. And instead of leaving you alone, he just takes you out of this life. He doesn't even want you to have an existence without him. When people talk about, well, why would Justin have done that? The reason he did that is he did not want her to have a good life without him. And a lot of people who are abusers know that the people that they are abusing will have a better life without them. They don't want that. They want to be able to make those people's lives miserable. And when a person finally wises up and says, this is not how I have to stay, this is not going to be the end of my story, and they want to leave, they snap. When they lose control over those situations, they snap. And I don't mean they snap with as in they're not in control of their actions. I mean they snap as in they go for the most desperate response they can, which is unaliving the woman that they can no longer control, because if they can't control her, she doesn't deserve to have a life. I talk a lot about because like I said, I was in abuse recovery. And I will tell you flat out, as someone who's in abuse recovery, I read a lot of books. Because I wanted to understand what happened to me and how to stop it from happening. And one of the most defining authors that I read was Patricia Evans. And she wrote this book where she was talking about like how abusive men don't see you as a person. They see you as a stuffed animal, a plaything. And the reason they lash out at you is you're, as the plaything, you're not allowed to have your own feelings, your own emotions. You're not allowed to have anything without them. You don't exist until they want to play with you. And when they want to play with you, you do what they want. And if you do anything that's not what they want, even if it's different from what they normally say they want, like you can't even keep track of it because it could change. But anytime you displease them, they're gonna lash out at you to get you back in line. And you don't get to, when you're a toy, you don't get to just get up and end the game. You don't get to end the game. They get to end the game. That's how they look at you. So when you say it's over, their lashing out for you is to throw you away, to get rid of you, because you don't get to decide that. They get to decide that. And it's that violence that has come in and taken away the lives of so many beautiful Black women over the past couple of weeks. And it's been so sad to witness, because what are these women dying for? Just trying to love these men, having these babies, trying to have these families with them. And then these men are not acting in the way that they said they would. And when the women want out, instead of being better or starting to try to be better or accepting that the relationship is over, they are removing the women from life. That's what they're doing. And it's so hard to justify even like dating men these days. It really is. On top of being violent, on top of there being a high risk of them taking you out, especially when you're a Black woman, they also want to try to make dating you what they call equal, but as much of devaluing as possible. They don't want to take any responsibility for the fact that their peers are violent. And so you going out with them, you spending time with them is actually a risk. It's an expensive risk for you to take, because no man is afraid when he goes out with a woman that she's going to take him out the game. And, you know, they'll admit that. They know that deep in their heart. They're not worried if I meet up with this woman, I might not come back tonight. And they're not worried overall that a woman's going to move in with them and take their life. Like, those are not regular things. For women, that is something regular that they have to fear. That is a total possibility, and especially for Black women. And so on top of everything else, then you have men telling you, oh, well, we're going to go 50-50. Oh, well, we're going Dutch on a date. Like, on top of everything else that they know with the violence, that you are taking a risk by being with them, they also want you to pay for the pleasure of taking the risk. It's constant devaluation. And it's exhausting to be a heterosexual woman, to be a lover girl, to actually want to have a relationship, because you have been socialized to believe that you can have those things, and that's what you're supposed to go for, and you're supposed to give men a lot of chances. But when you look at the realities out here, when you look at what's happening to Black women out here, it's actually really foolish and dangerous to do that. Like, it really and truly is. But you've been socialized to do it. Unfortunately, the men have been socialized to be violent and treat you as possessions. And look at how they're treating their own children. Look at that guy, like I said, in Shreveport. He chased down his own children. I don't care what people say. I don't think that a lot of men see their children as more than an extension of themselves in a way that women do. That is why typically when you see women do stuff like that, you have rare cases where women do that to try to get ahead by getting another man or something like that. But a lot of times when you see women that are unalivers, that's like during the postpartum phase or something, or a woman that's severely broken. We are seeing men who are just taking out their kids, beating up their kids, or hurting the kids to get to the mother. What does it say about the men that are hurting the kids to get to the mother? That The kids don't mean enough to them that they won't hurt them, but they know that the kids mean that much to the mother. Like, it's a sick society. We are raising sick men. And I don't know why, like, people are so afraid to do something about it, but I think people are so brainwashed by patriarchy, they cannot accept that reality. We are raising sick men. We say boys are easy to raise, but we're just doing a really bad job at it. I would be so mortified and humiliated if my son grew up to do something like this to a woman. But there's a lot of women's sons growing up to do stuff like this. And so something's going on. Something is going on in how we're raising boys. What we're doing now is not good enough. All this stuff about sticking them with these harsh gender rules about what they can and can't do is not helping. Whatever's going on in their social groups as they're getting older, it's not helping. The red pill stuff, it's not helping. And women and children are becoming the casualty. It is to the point where it's like, honestly, it's dangerous to live with a man. It's straight up dangerous. You know, you're lucky if you find one who isn't dangerous. But I don't think most of us thought, like, when we moved in with a certain man, that he would be dangerous. I certainly didn't think when I got married and I moved in with a person that I would have a hard time getting them out of my house, or that they would escalate to the things they did after I broke up with them. You don't know that. You take a risk. You take a risk trying to fall in love and get married and be happy with somebody. It's actually just so insane to think about that. You're risking your life to try to just love somebody else. That's it. You're risking your life to love somebody else. Is it really worth it? When you really think about it like that, is it really worth it as a heterosexual woman to do that? I mean, you'd have to find, like, you got to find the right guy. And there's so many wrong guys, or so many guys who are so good at looking like the right guy when they're actually the wrong guy. Like, it's exhausting. It's really exhausting. And I don't think people give women credit for the risks that they take in dating. Like I said, that's why I tell women, don't pay for dates. Don't go 50-50 to live with a man. It's not even about, like, I don't believe in equity anyway. There's no way you can get equity dollar for dollar with a man, because men make more on a dollar. Men have to go through less. They don't have periods. They're not dealing with sexual harassment. They literally don't work as hard as women do to get the same dollar. So you can't even equitably split the money up. But beyond that, you as a woman are taking a huge risk being with them. So if he doesn't even factor in the fact that you are taking a risk, and he's still trying to nickel and dime you out of everything, just let him be. Just let them be, because those are the most dangerous ones. Men who do not recognize the risk of men are very dangerous. I don't want to be around a man who does not know that I am risking my life meeting up with him for a date. I'm risking myself moving in with him. And so he shouldn't be trying to take money out of my pocket for doing that. If he really wants to get to know me, he's supposed to be making my life easier. That is what I teach my son. Stay away from women. If you're not trying to make a woman's life easier and safer, stay away from them. 100%. You don't deserve one. They don't need you. You will bring nothing but chaos. Stay away. And that is what all men need to do. And women need to start staying away from men too, in our own way. Like, honestly, we got to start divorcing ourselves from the idea that we have to have romantic love. I don't think it's the best option for women until men start being better or start being different. Like, I don't think it's the way that we have to have kids. I don't think it's the way that we have to have homes. A lot of us are buying our own homes and living alone. You know, it would be nice if things worked out the way they're supposed to. I honestly love the idea of people falling in love and getting married and having children and raising the children that's healthy and it's happy. But so many men are allowed to be so dysfunctional. And again, like I said, even up to unaliving you, and people want to see the best in them, that at that point, what is their incentive to be good people? What is it? What incentive do they have when, if they unalive their wife, they kill their wife, their homeboy is going to still say, hey, he was just a great guy. He was going through a hard time. Women go through hard times all the time. We literally go through periods every month. I go through a week every month where I think I'm failing at life because I have PMS. And in that week's time, I do not kill anybody. I don't. So to hear, oh, a man was going through, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Women deal with menopause, perimenopause, periods, postpartum depression. Men don't even have to deal with all of that. They just get the regular stresses of life. Women got to deal with all of our stuff, plus the regular stresses of life, plus the fact that we're more at risk of being unalived altogether because we're women, and we're not out here unaliving people. I don't want to hear. I don't care about no man mental health problems. I care enough about them to tell them to go get help, but that's not why y'all are killing people. Y'all mental health is not why y'all are killing people. Y'all are killing people because society does not hold you accountable when you kill people. When you rape people, they don't. People serving more time for corporate crimes than when y'all rape women and beat women. And women are part of that because, like I said, I went in on Chris Brown and the whole Chris Brown thing and Usher thing, my last podcast, but I want to bring this right back around full circle. If you a black woman out here hollering about femicide and you buying tickets to them concerts, you are an op. I repeat, you are an op. You are not to be trusted. If you care, you cannot care about femicide. You cannot care about femicide if you are giving money to men who put their hands on women. How do you care about femicide and you giving your money to men who beat women? Do you know that that's a step towards femicide? Is that calculating in your brain? You giving money to a man that almost killed Rihanna. You giving money to a man that has several other victims. You giving money to a man that was stalking Karuchi. How do you care about femicide and you're giving money to men who were almost people who completed femicide, black femicide at that? How do you care? How do you say that in your mind? If you don't care enough to stop giving money to men that beat up women, then just stop being performative about it. Stop being performative about it. You don't care enough to stop putting money and comfort into the hands of men who hurt women. Like I said, you an op. You might be a nice op, but you still a op. And we got to start calling y'all out on that. I know the other feminists I have seen other women really sticking up for the people who have been harmed by these artists and calling you women to the floor, and they need to continue to do it. It's not a game, y'all. It's not a joke. It's not, he didn't put his hands on me. You're watching black women be murdered, and the only thing you can think of to do with your money is to give it to some black men who Usher, he's out here being an apologist for Diddy, could have unalived Cassie easily, or Chris Brown, who almost did kill Rihanna. That's where you're spending your money, and you want us to think you care about women. It doesn't go together. You can't do both things. You're going to have to pick a side. It's not even no gender war. Men call it a gender war because they talking about they got to pay bills and they got to pay child support. Women dying. It's not a gender war. And you're going to have to pick a side as a woman, and you got to do better. I'm sorry. You're going to have to do better. And I went in on y'all last week because it's really y'all Christians. Y'all are so brainwashed to give men a second chances to see the best in men because you think that the person in heaven that created you is a man when it's not. And so you want to see the best in men no matter what. That's the mind game that men have played on you by making God into a man. They get to be whatever they want. They get to be as violent as they want. And when they end up hurting other people, you still got to find the best in them because God made that thing in his image. You can't possibly believe in any kind of heavenly God and the creature and creation that they made in their image is a man. Be serious. Be so serious. I don't even think men really believe that. Men know that they're not even good people. So you're not even going to sit up here and convince me that the person that created the universe and created goodness is a man. Get serious. So you guys are going to have to do better. I don't know what it's going to take for you to wake up. I hope it doesn't take some kind of violence towards you. Sadly, I'll have to say, when I really start to see, how much I was playing myself as a woman, it was when I went through my divorce and I dealt with the reality of when a man was trying to gain control back over me after he lost it. That's when I really saw how society was not set up for my safety. That's when I really saw how many people were going to try to find the best in a person who was very harmful to me. And that's when I really saw how other women circle the wagon on men who are harmful. And I knew, I don't want to be a part of that. And I also don't want other women to be a part of that. I don't want other women to go through what I went through because it's not fair. That's all I wanted too, was to fall in love and have babies and have a home and get married. And I worked hard at that. I was a loyal wife. I never cheated. I never did anything to that person. And I still, even being the so-called good girl, I still became a victim in that system. So there's no way I could sit back and not tell people about what was going on. There was no way as a woman that I could sit back and take a risk of somebody being not informed enough. When we talk, even with Serena and what happened with her, people don't realize in Virginia, their divorce laws make women live with their husband for a year, or they could lose their property rights and children. How is that fair? How is that even wise to do to a woman, knowing how violent men are? These systems are set up for us to fail and for our lives to be lost. They're not set up to help us. Men lie and tell you family court favor women because family court might give them a little bit more custody of the kids, but that's who's doing the child care. How is that favoring women when you wasn't doing the child care 9 times out of 10? And just because they make you pay child support, which is way less than what it actually costs for the child to exist. That's not favoring women. Unfortunately for ladies, Men think everything is about money, which is why I tell you don't give them no money. But that's exactly it. They think everything is about money. So when they say that family court favors women, they mean family court taking money out their check to give the women to take care of their kids. That's favoring women because they don't be wanting custody of their kids like that. As much as they whine and complain, if child support wasn't tied to custody, most of them wouldn't even care the kid was with their mama most of the time because they end up dropping the kid off at their mama house, or if they got a sister or somebody, they don't even be with them kids, like half of them. So rest assured, when men talk about something not benefiting them, they're talking about money. They're not talking about the safety aspect that women are facing when they're trying to divorce men, when they're being told they got to live with them for an extra year while they're mad that you're trying to leave them. That's absolutely insane. That divorce law, and I did tweet the governor of Virginia and tell her they need to work on those divorce laws. I knew about those being in domestic violence groups with other survivors, that those divorce laws existed, but they must be changed. We cannot have women's lives be put at risk. All women are trying to do is get married and have children and have families. Do what we are supposed to do. And we are coming up against so much violence against men. What we were told we were supposed to do. And then people are mad that we don't want to get married and have children anymore. Well, look around. Why should we? It says so much about how intelligent that women are that they are finally breaking out of this social conditioning that they have to be a man's punching bag in life and are choosing to just live by themselves. And people are so angry about it. Oh, the birth rate is down. Oh, women are having babies. Good. Excellent. Why have a bunch of babies when your baby daddy can get mad at you and then go and kill them all like that man in Shreveport did? Why put your body through all of that when we live in a society where something like that can happen? It doesn't even make sense. When you can have a father who is abusive, who can continue to abuse the mother at pickups and drop-offs, even when they have separate custody and the family court doesn't do anything. Why should women continue to have children then? Why should they continue to tie themselves to men who have proven that they will lose control if they do not have the woman living in their house and putting up with his crap all the time? Why should a woman have a child? She shouldn't. And that's the reality that society is having a hard time reckoning with. Women are getting smarter. Women are seeing what's happening to other women. Women are listening to other women tell them that this ain't no bed of roses. Being a mother and being a wife is not a bed of roses because a lot of these men are not good people. There are people that got good marriages. There are people that got good relationships. I don't ever say that that doesn't exist. But a lot of people are not good people, and a lot of these men are not good people, and they don't have good relationships. A lot of women's relationships look good because they're not telling you about what they're suffering through quietly. We wouldn't know about what Serena was suffering through if there wasn't the news about Justin and his essaying people and stuff like that. She could have been going through that all alone before she decided to leave. It's a lot of women going through stuff right now with a man that they will not tell you because they're ashamed because they want to try to save this marriage, not realizing that they're putting their life at risk when they're with somebody like that. A person that will essay somebody, a person that is violent, a person that's yelling at you, a person that's trying to control you. They even say control, period, is the first sign that a man will try to take you out, which makes sense because, like I said, a lot of times they do it when they think they're going to lose control over you. You're their toy. They don't want to lose that control. I just pray that women are informed. Like, I just want women to know that, like, you do have options in life. It is dangerous to try to date and love men. It is dangerous. And when you go into it knowing it's dangerous, go into it understanding that you got the right to ask for whatever you want in order to take that risk. Don't let no man try to downplay what the risk is to date him. You have the right to ask for whatever you feel is right and fit for you to date. It is your life. You have every right to go in and bargain for what you want. But understand something. Understand that people are never going to see you, unfortunately, in this society as an equal to that man. You are an accessory to that man. And a lot of times people are going to justify whatever he does to you. They think that you belong to him if you choose to get married to him. So if you make those choices, just make it with that information and make sure that you're getting the best outcome for yourself and your children. Because at the end of the day, and we saw this with these femicides and filicides, it's up to us to look out for each other and to look out for the children, because both of those things are unfortunately expendable under patriarchy. Those are two classes of people, women and children, who are allowed to be oppressed and unalived by men. And we have to look out for the children, and we have to look out for ourselves and each other. And that includes not giving money to people who abuse women, birdie birds. So please keep that in mind. So thank you guys for tuning in this week. Again, I am sending prayers and condolences to all the women we've lost, all the sisters that we have lost out there who are just trying to love men. That's it. Losing our lives trying to love men and give birth. Women, losing their lives trying to carry babies to term. Y'all see men get online talking about, oh, it's so many babies are aborted, but they real quiet about the fact that women who are trying to carry babies to term, the number one thing that's killing them is men. You never hear them talk about that. Anything to blame a woman. But I'm here to support you guys, to send you guys love. I hope if you are in a bad situation, you're making a plan to get out. Definitely make people aware of what's happening to you. Have a safety plan in place. And remember, it's not your fault and you are loved. And if something does happen to you, just know that at least there are people, those of us out here, who will call it what it is, and we won't make excuses for the person who harmed you, and try to find the best in them, because there is no best in a man who would kill a woman. There is not. Thank you guys once again for listening, and you guys have a wonderful rest of your week.